World Vision went to Kosovo after the war in '99 to help refugees return home. They had lost their houses. Their homes had been burned, roofs had been destroyed. World Vision, in its relief response, was to create warm rooms and safe shelter for refugees returning to Kosovo. Working with imams in their communities was a very important thing for World Vision. These were majority Muslim communities. Over 90% of these towns and cities were Muslim, and the role of Muslim leaders was very important. Imam Recep Lushta, who was part of the Islamic Council of Kosovo, took me to a mosque that had been desecrated and partially destroyed by the Serb militia. He showed me the dynamited minarets, crosses spray painted on the inside of this mosque. Young imams had had their throats slit and murdered in that mosque. And he turned to me and said, "You say World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization. This violence and these murders were perpetrated by Christians. These Serb militia were blessed by priests in Serbia. We saw that on television. We know that Jesus taught you Christians to love your neighbors and even to love your enemies. We are waiting to see that Christians follow these commands of Jesus. If World Vision is a Christian organization, prove it to us." World Vision worked with Imam Lushta to distribute winter clothes, rebuild houses, help Christian and Muslim leaders reestablish access to schools, to churches. Serb Orthodox priests were basically prisoners in their own homes and churches. The tables had turned, and the Muslim leaders wanted World Vision's help to reestablish trust and tolerance. This was our challenge as a Christian organization, to rebuild very fragile relationships, broken relationships between Christians and Muslims in Kosovo. Over the last decade, World Vision has worked with this imam and others to establish a club for children, Kids for Peace, which brought Serb, Christian, and Kosovar Muslim children together to visit each other's churches and mosques, to understand their heritage, to share the common ground that they have as citizens of Kosovo, but also as people of faith. And the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. Muslims who read the Quran know that this is the basic teachings of Jesus to Christians. And we as Christian humanitarians need to put this into practice in very real ways. Feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, providing shelter and protection for people when they have lost their homes. World Vision's new integrated programming methodology starts with helping people understand who are we, who is World Vision as a Christian organization, and who are the neighbors and who are the partners we work with. This encounter with Imam Lushta in Kosovo shows us how we are to start by asking local leaders, in this case Muslim leaders, what their expectations are of World Vision, what they know about us. And it's our duty to describe who we are and why we're there, to articulate what it means for us as Christian humanitarians to work in Muslim communities. This example in Kosovo clearly shows that Muslim expectations need to be understood, and they need to be addressed in very practical ways. That we are to be transparent, we are to be open, we are to explain who we are and why we're there, and in turn bring programs that address their practical needs. Shelter at wintertime, food for the hungry, health, and specific supplies like warm winter clothes as winter comes into these communities. As a Christian humanitarian organization, responding to emergencies like the tsunami, or conflicts like Kosovo, or earthquakes, common natural disasters where Christians and Muslims have to rebuild their communities. It's an opportunity for us to work on common problems to build the common bonds between our communities. World Vision is committed to work in communities with parents, with religious leaders, both Christians and Muslims, for the well-being of children, for children to be free from disease, to have opportunities to become all that God created them to be. We want the best for all the children of the world.